We're hearing bad news on Cortland, better news on Locke. Can you just give us the status of your injured players and the severity of their injuries that you know of?
Yeah, Cortland will miss the rest of the season. Drew's going to be out anywhere to probably 3 to 4 or 5 weeks. All depend upon the healing process. Draymond Jones is going to miss, significant time, maybe 4 weeks or so. Walker's going to miss some time also with a calf. Who else?
I think those are the big ones. What specifically is Drew's injury? Is it,
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing structurally wrong with his shoulder. He just got a bad bruise there, and when it's your throwing shoulder, it's going to take time to heal. It's got to calm down, get his strength back to where he fully has it and he can operate 100%.
All right, I know that each of these injuries are different, but across the league, there's been a rash of injuries, especially yesterday. Do you have any thought that maybe some of this is caused by this weird offseason you had with the whole pandemic thing?
It could be. I think it's more so than the offseason. The way training camp was set up and no preseason games maybe is something more worthwhile looking at than the offseason.
Next up, Ryan Aller.
Hey, Vic, you've been in this game more than 30 years in the NFL. Have you had a rash of injuries on a club you've been a part of? And if so, can you lean on that to lead your locker room through this?
I'm sure I have. I just, I haven't thought about it. 35 years is a long time. But I know there's been some rough years that way. And we'll get through it here. We got a bunch of good players here that are ready to step up. We got a coaching staff that's going to lead them. And we're going to be ready to play.
Next up, Jeff.
Vic, in light of Drew's injury, how did you evaluate Driscoll's play yesterday after you looked at it? And will you have to structure anything in the offense to sort of suit him in the next couple weeks?
I thought in light of the circumstances, coming in there cold, not getting many reps during the week, he doesn't probably get as many as some of the backups around the league because, Drew being such a young quarterback and last week was a short week, so the reps were down a little bit in its entirety. I thought he did a good job. And, yes, we'll look moving forward to do what best suits Jeff. And, and that's something you always do when you have new players in there.
Next up, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, just first of all, I think Devontae Harris might have been another guy who had an MRI and a hammy today. How's he?
Yeah, we haven't gotten the final results on that, but there's a chance he could miss a week or two with that.
And also, Rippon would be the backup and looking for another quarterback on the outside to bring in.
Yes. That's the one thing about these protocols that, we have found out the hard way here. Even if we were to bring a guy in today, they're not going to be eligible to come and partake in meetings or practice until Friday or Saturday because they have to pass so many days of tests before they're allowed in the building. So, and that's one of the downsides of this that, us and other clubs are feeling.
Next up, Brandon.
Coach, after watching the tape, how'd you think your young corner, specifically Ojemudia, did?
Well, he struggled. He had a tough day, like a lot of young corners have. But I'm confident Michael will come back and learn from this, and it will be hopefully a game that he looks back on in his long, successful career that he learned a lot from and grew from.
Next up, Nick Kosmider.
Yeah, Vic, as you looked at some of the protection issues on the 7 sacks, was there any kind of themes that you noticed within some of the breakdowns there? Or was it kind of different issues throughout?
Well, it's always going to be different issues, but basically, we just kind of took turns there getting beat a little bit. They ran some games that we didn't handle. It was, anytime you drop back to pass 50 some times, against a good rushing defense that is willing to rush 5 a lot, you know, you're going to have some protection issues if you don't get the ball out quicker or don't do a better job of blocking.
Next up, Eric.
Coach, when you looked at the play that Drew got hurt on, is there any concern of, you know, him trying to make something happen there? Does he need to change his style of play a little bit to make sure he can stay on the field for you guys?
Well, he could have stepped up and stayed with the play a little bit longer. And then once you start scrambling and anytime you hit the ground, you're always in danger of, you know, getting hurt, you know, particularly a quarterback where the shoulders or anything to your throwing arm can happen.
Adrian Mason.
On the O-line in particular, Lloyd Cushenberry, what did you see from watching the film in terms of your evaluation of his performance?
A lot like Michael, you know, he had a tough day out there, got singled up a few times, and, you know, he got beat a few times. Again, I hope that this is a game that, you know, when we look back through his long and successful career, that this is a game that he learned something from and improves from and proves out to be very valuable for him.
Next up, Troy.
In that vein, Coach, your evaluation of Elijah Wilkinson, and based on that, would there be any thought of seeing if you get snaps for DeMar Dotson?
Elijah had a lot of good plays, but then he had some plays where he was inconsistent in his sets and protection. But no, we haven't had those thoughts yet, the second part of your question.
Next up, Michael Spencer.
Vic, what will you guys do, if anything, at wide receiver to try and replace Cortland? Is it just sticking with the guys that you have in-house, or will you look outside?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of overloaded at the wide receiver position anyway with 7 guys on the active roster. So now we'll have 6, and it will be the guys that are currently on the roster filling that void.
Next up, Eric Goodman.
Vic, you certainly have intimate knowledge of how Colin Kaepernick plays because he was there when you were there. Have you talked to John about him because he's not working? Do you want to talk to John about possibly giving Colin Kaepernick a look?
His name hasn't come up in the brief discussions I've had with John at this point. I'm sure John and Matt will work hard to bring somebody in here that they think will be the best fit.
Next up, Ryan O'Halloran.
Vic, yesterday you used the word sequences throughout the first 2 games that have cost you these games. How do you even out your play, or is some of that based on youth?
Well, some of it's based on youth, but some of it's just making the plays that are available to be made and not having the, you know, the catastrophe type plays. You know, on our second drive offensively, like I said after the game, we were in field goal range, had a chance to go get more. And, you know, we had the turnover there, which gave them the ball about near midfield. And then we had a chance to get a pick ourselves that we didn't make. And they converted a 3rd and 10 on a play that I believe that we were very capable of stopping. And, you know, instead of being 3-0 at least our favor, maybe down 0-3, or we end up down 0-7. So really a 10-point swing there in that short span of the game. And, you know, those are the sequences I'm talking about. There's always a couple sequences in a game, usually revolving around turnovers or a big play or lack of execution that can really impact the outcome of a game.
Guys, time for a few more. Next up, Zach Stevens.
Hey, Coach, how much will the offense change catering the offense to Jeff Driscoll's strengths? Do you think it could change significantly?
I don't think it will change significantly. We just may lean on some other stuff in our package that we haven't been calling as much with Drew in there. So, but I don't think it's a wholesale change in the offense. It might look different to others, but it's stuff we've been practicing and have had in that maybe we'll lean on a little bit more with Jeff in there.
Last 2, Jeff, then Troy. Go ahead, Jeff.
Vic, you're not always one to sort of share how you're feeling and all this, but you've had 2 close losses, and this list of injuries just keeps growing. I mean, are you frustrated? Feel hexed? Any of that? I mean, where are you at sort of mentally as you talk to the team?
Well, I'm disappointed for the players that have gotten injured, you know. It's never good to get injured on an individual, personal basis. Yeah, it does have a negative effect on the team. You know, I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence that losing the type of players and the amount of players that we've lost doesn't have some type of effect. But we do have good players here in the building still. They're going to come and rally, look at it as an opportunity for them to go out and play good and show what they got. And we're going to get them ready as a coaching staff to go out there and compete and try and find a way to win these close games.
Last one, Troy.
Vic, when you talked with Sutton, did he sustain the injury on the tackle of the interception? And is that just a play where he obviously, hindsight, you'd rather he not make given the shoulder issue he had?
He did make it on that play, and I do believe it was when he was attempting to tackle. You know, I don't know that you can play the game that way. It sounds good, but when those guys are out there playing, they're playing on instincts, they're playing on experience. You know, they intercepted the ball. It's Cortland's instincts and natural reaction to go and try and tackle the guy. And I don't know that you can get around that. You know, it's easier for a quarterback who throws a pick to kind of stay out of the fray. I don't know about for the receivers and everybody else that's right in the middle of it.
Sorry, guys. One more. Ryan O'Halloran, finish this off.
Hey, Vic, at the second half of the Tennessee game, we went 3 and out, and sort of got into a rut there. How encouraging was it to play better in the second half yesterday offensively, and can you build on that?
I think so. You know, Pittsburgh's a good defense. We came out and got some points there in the second half, got some stops. You know, part of that in comparison to the Tennessee game is we got the stops on defense also, whereas in the Tennessee game they had a couple long drives there on us too. So, again, that's part of a sequence there where we're not going 3 and out, but also, you know, the other team wasn't driving it on 12, 15 play drives. So it goes hand in hand. And the positive thing is I really was happy to see Hamler get out there and get going. He's definitely a good player and has a great future for us here in Denver. And hopefully we'll be able to play him more now.